Behind me is a brand new Porsche GTS that we just got in the past couple videos here on the channel. Earlier this year, my dad and I went to go pick this up from the Porsche Experience Center in Atlanta. Basically, at the time, new cars were actually cheaper to get than used cars, and so we decided to go ahead and pick up this Porsche. This is the 718 GTS, which means it has a 4-liter flat 6, and we got it with a manual transmission, and I cannot tell you guys how much fun this car is to drive. But before I tell you more about it, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gray, and this is Living Like Gray, where we've been doing a lot of fun, cool stuff with cars. Now that I've graduated from college, I can finally start making videos full-time and a lot more, so be sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss any of the awesome projects that we've been filming here that we're gonna start posting here soon. But today we're talking about the GTS, so let me go ahead and show you guys around this car. It is a really fun car. My dad was looking at cars for quite a long time before he settled on this one, and I kind of convinced him to go with a Porsche. Now, I had never really thought much of Porsches before, and whenever I did, I always thought 911 and Cayman and all the cars kind of looked the same, which is the way a lot of other car enthusiasts that aren't Porsche enthusiasts think. But I want to show you some unique features about this one and why it is such a cool car and why we decided to get this instead of a Mercedes AMG, a BMW M8, or a couple other cars that we were looking at that are around the same price range. So starting off, this is a Gentian blue color, which as you guys know, I absolutely love blue, and that was one of the things that actually sold my dad. Normally he likes red cars, but this color blue just caught our eyes so much that we just had to go with it, with the red calipers, and we got the red stitching in the seats as well. It really just was, I would say, the perfect color scheme that you could get on a car, and the 718 just has the lines to really show off the color. Now, one of the things that you get with the 718 GTS, rather than the normal 718, is you get a more aggressive front bumper. So if you see this black piece here, this kind of front fascia, it looks a lot more aggressive because it has more cooling area here needed, as well as more aerodynamic capability for high-speed application. One of my favorite things about the 718 is actually the headlights. They make it look like a totally different car. So instead of the normal round headlights from Porsche that you've seen on every Porsche since the 70s, these are more triangular, a little more unique shape, and that I like because it doesn't look like every other Porsche that exists. Now, one of the cool things about Porsche is because they're rear and mid-engine, they have front trunks. So you get a lot of storage space, and it's kind of a novelty to show people that, look at my motor, there's no motor there. So this is actually a huge space that you can shove a full-size suitcase in, I would say. Or for us, we have a bunch of camera gear that we carry around a lot. So this is deep enough and wide enough to fit my camera gear, my backpack, my gimbal, and any other gear that we need to put in here. So if you want a good grocery getter, I'd say this is really high up on the list. Since a lot of the cars that I mentioned was like the AMG GTS, it doesn't really have that space. It's got a big V8 up front and it has a small hatch in the back, so you can't really fit much in it. Now you're probably saying, well, Grayson, this is a rear engine, so you can't fit anything in the back of it either. Well, the cool thing is, it's a mid-engine, so it also has a rear trunk, but we'll get there in a minute. Now, this does have the normal steel brakes. We had the option to go to carbon ceramic brakes, but the only color you could get on the calipers was yellow or black, I want to say, and we wanted the red calipers. So we stuck with the steel brakes. We're not tracking it, and it's going to look a lot better in my opinion with the blue and the red. Now we did go with the black alloy wheels to give it that really sinister look with the blue and the black, which if you notice, that's a similar theme to my Subaru BRZ. So I guess you can say my dad took a couple pages out of my book, or I just had a bunch of influence on how he spec'd out this car. Now inside the car, there are a couple awesome things that we spec'd. Again, we have the red stitching along the side here with the Alcantara and the carbon fiber. And then we also got the carbon fiber with the backlit Boxster GTS right here, which is just such a cool touch in my opinion. Now we did get the 18-way adjustable Alcantara seats. Now there are a few different seat options. There's the standard seats, the 18-way adjustable seats, and then the race fixed back seats. We're not racing this car, so we wanted to have a little more comfort with it. So we went with the 18-way adjustable seats, which actually were way better than I thought. You could easily set some amazing lap times with these seats because you can adjust the bolstering not only on your legs, but on your sides as well, so it really holds your love handles in place. Now again, we did go with the manual transmission. I know a lot of Porsche guys out there would disagree with me and say we should have gone with a PDK, but I would say this is the best spec for this car because it is still lightweight enough to be a sports car. It is not supercar-esque, and so you really have a lot of fun going up and down the gears. Again, we're not setting insane lap times with this. We just want some fun thing to drive with some clicky shifts, and this is just such a perfect car for that. I do not regret not getting the PDK at all. The manual is just such a fun car, and actually, I think all the other cars that we have on the channel are manual, except the Tesla, which I'm not even gonna acknowledge that that thing exists, because anyway. The other cool thing that we want to showcase about this car where other cars don't really shine, and this is such a small thing, but it has cup holders, dude. Like this thing, you can put not only 1, but 2 drinks in this car. Other supercars and sports cars, if they have cup holders, they're just not good. They're terrible. Like some of the BMW, it just doesn't hold your drink. And in Texas, where we have drinks that are literally this big, and we need a big cup holder to hold it, this will do it for you, rather than the tiny little cup holders you get in BMWs and Mercedes. Now, we did opt to go with a convertible on this with a blue top rather than a black top, and that was one thing that my dad actually, I will admit that he was right on this. The blue top he wanted, and it looks so much better than a black top would have. I've seen a Genshin blue one with a black top, and the blue top just looks so much better. So huge shout out to my dad for speccing that. That was just the best option. Moving to the back, we also got some clear taillights, a active aero wing with the blacked out badging. The other thing that is different on the GTS from the standard Cayman that you see, or the Boxster that you'd see, I'd say the previous generation was the Cayman, the new one's the Boxster. So if I mix those up, I'm sorry, I'm still new to Porsche, I'm working on it, but for all the Porsche guys in the comments, feel free to correct me as much as you want. But one of the biggest difference that you see in the rear here is on the 4-cylinder Boxsters, you get a 2 exhaust ports or a single exhaust port in the center of the bumper, rather than 2 separated by about 1.5 to 2 feet on the rear bumper. Now, I think this looks way better. I will say that the 4-cylinder doesn't look bad, but it is a huge identifier between the 6-cylinder and the 4-cylinder on these cars. Now that we're at the back of the car, I can go ahead and show you guys the rear trunk space. We do have a couple of camera equipment in here, but as you can see, it's not as deep as the front trunk, but it is a little wider. So again, great grocery getter. You can put plenty of groceries in this thing. You can go on long cross-country trips with some backpacks and some luggage. The only thing you can't really do is pick up your kids from school very well. So if you got kids, you might want to trade them in for a Porsche. Now, the big thing that I can't show you because Porsche has covered it up in this car is the 4-liter flat 6 motor. It is the same exact motor in the 911 GT3. The only difference is it's been detuned to about 420 horsepower, down from, I want to say, 500 or so. But that motor is such an amazing sounding motor, and it puts out plenty of power for this lighter weight chassis. Now, obviously, since it's just been detuned, with some simple tuning, you can just bump those numbers back up, and you can have just an absolute monster of a motor inside a very small car. Overall, this thing is absolutely insane, and I'm gonna put out more driving reviews of this in the future, but I wanted to just go ahead and showcase this to you guys that this is now on the channel. We still have the other projects, but this is more of a fun luxury car that we can drive around now, especially because most of the other projects are broken, as you guys will see in the next couple of videos. But that's enough of me talking about the car and walking around it. Let's go ahead and go for a short drive, and I'll tell you guys how it feels to drive it. Now that we're inside the car, one of the things that I wanted to address is the key is on the left. Now, in my last Porsche video, I reviewed a Porsche GT3, and people absolutely roasted me in the comments because I said Porsche moved the key from the right to the left side of the car because of a wiring shortage, and they wanted to save money on copper wiring from one side to the other, saving about a foot of copper. Now, people said, no, that's not true. It's so that when you were racing at Le Mans, you could put the car into gear and start the car at the same time. But that was more Porsche propaganda. When you picked up this car from the Porsche Museum, they actually explained to us that they said that as advertisement, when in reality, Porsche was on the verge of bankruptcy, and they wanted to save some money on copper by moving the key from the right to the left. So that's what I was told at Porsche. You guys can believe that it was for racing. I want to say it's for a bit of both. Either way, I think it is a cool story behind the car. Now we're gonna go ahead and start it. So I'll go ahead and push my foot in the clutch, turn the key. Now the exhaust is currently closed. There are 3 separate sport settings that you can do. There's this setting right here, which is just the standard economy setting. There's sport, which will open up the exhaust and increase the revs. And then there's Sport Plus, which also stiffens the suspension as well. So we're gonna go ahead and drive it in sport, get some good audio for you guys, and it's more fun to drive like that. So go ahead and hop in and let's go ahead and go for a drive. So first, go ahead and starting out. This thing is a convertible. Normally I'm not a huge fan of convertibles, but it's just so nice, dude. I've normally, the only convertible that I like is Miata, but there's just something about this that makes it so good. It is a little cold outside today. One of the nice things that I just did is there's a button right here that turns on a heated steering wheel, so my hands can stay warm, and it's got heated seats as well, which is just so nice, especially if you live in a cooler country or state. But for us living in Texas, this is really good for about 1 month out of the year. The rest of the time, you don't really need it, but right now I'm really glad that we have it. From sport mode to individual mode or the standard drive mode, you can do it with this little clicky knob right here, which is just so cool. One thing I love about Porsche is all of the attention to detail, even with knobs like this. Now, when you're in the standard mode, not only is the exhaust closed, the wing not active, and the suspension soft, but you also lose auto rev matching when you have a manual. So as I'm shifting, if I want to rev match, I have to manually rev match myself when it's in non-sport mode or the standard mode. Now this will help you with gas mileage. It won't have as loud of an exhaust, so if you're coming home late at night and you don't want to wake up your neighbors, that's a pretty good option. But for me, I don't care, and I'd rather hear that 4-liter flat 6 as I'm driving and get way better throttle response with it in sport mode. Now, my biggest gripe about this car that we've noticed just from having it from the short amount of time is that there is like a secondary valve in the exhaust, and it's for something called a particulate filter that Germany requires their car manufacturers to put in. It's basically like a secondary catalytic converter with a valve in it. So when I get above 3,500 RPM, that opens, and it's kind of annoying, to be honest, because that sounds really good right there. But below that, it sounds like it's being muffled. It sounds like someone shoved a towel in your exhaust, and you can't hear it all the way. And so one of the things that we're probably gonna do to this car sooner rather than later is we're gonna take those out because they're not required in the United States, and we're gonna put something else in that will make this exhaust way more throaty. Now this car does rev up to about 7,800 RPM, which that's high even for a sports car. But if you know Porsche, they're known for revving up to 8,000, 8,500, even 9,000 RPM. So why is this one lower? Well, like I said, it has the same motor as the GT3. So as a consumer, why would you go buy a GT3 for another $100,000 when you have the same motor that would rev up to the same RPM with the same power for less money, and it weighs less? So Porsche had to do something to make it make sense. So they reduced the RPMs to 7,800, and they reduced the power and torque to make this more of a daily driver car slash street car rather than more of a track focused car. Now the GTS is near the top of the line that you can get for the Boxster series. And the only thing above that is the GT4s and the Spyders and the GT4 RSs and the Spider RSs, but this is really the top luxury model that you can get before you start getting into the track use cars. And this thing's, I would say, the best bang for your buck that you can get at Porsche. Not only do you get the mid-engine rather than the rear engine, you get a lighter weight chassis, you get more power with the fuel economy, and you get the choice between a PDK and a manual, all for around $100,000. With extra storage space, this really is in my opinion, the best Porsche. Now, again, a lot of the Porsche guys are gonna absolutely roast me in the comments for that, but to each their own, I guess. Now, I'm kind of reviewing this car as I'm driving it, but to be honest, I'm gonna do a full review on this car after I've driven it more, that's a little more in depth. I just kind of wanted to reveal this car to you guys, tell you guys what it's like to drive. Oh man. Yeah, this car is, it's fast, dude. It's way faster than the BRZ or the Datsun or any of the other cars we have on the channel. So I have to be careful or else I will get myself in trouble with this thing. I'm just glad that we have a Porsche on the channel. It is so much fun to drive, and I'm excited that we finally get to make videos with a European car rather than just Japanese cars. Now, I have been teasing a new car on the channel for a little bit and on my social medias, and technically this isn't it because it really is my dad's car. He's just letting me drive it letting me share it with you guys. This means that my dad can come with us to car events now that he's close to retirement. He wants to participate more on the channel, so he can take this thing out more while I drive the BRZ and the Datsun. I still have another car that I got that is going to allow us to make some really, really cool videos for a couple different reasons, and I'm really excited to show it to you guys. The only hint I'm going to give you is it's an American car. I'll leave it at that and let your guys' imagination run wild. Now, it's not a super expensive American car, but we're gonna put some serious money into it and make it an absolute track beast. Now that we're back at the garage, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy the Porsche content, and if you do, let me know in the comments down below so I can make more Porsche videos for you. Let me know what you guys want to see with this car as well as all the other cars on the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Go away. Please. Why, dude? Good thing I didn't say they were easy to use. Go into your little hole, dude.